everyone. While we get my slide deck up, I know that some of you hopefully have eaten, but I know it's midday and we might need a little bit of a pick-me-up. And my colleague Jacqueline is going to help me with this, but I did bring chocolate because I figured most people would need that at about 2, 3 o'clock in the afternoon. So if you raise your hand, we will come around and hand you some chocolate. Real quick question. How many folks here, actually this is going to be hard with everyone raising their hand for chocolate. How many folks here have a mobile phone? Raise your hand. There you go. Oh, see, everyone wants chocolate now, Jackie. So of all of you, how many have a smartphone? Right. That's the point. Everyone has a mobile phone now. So what I'm going to be talking about today is mobile for good and why nonprofits and NGOs really should be using mobile SMS technology as a tool to really get their mission across to audiences that they're trying to reach, be it donors, supporters, or folks that they're working to help in the field. So I have a quick poll for everyone. You all said you have a mobile phone, so I know you're going to do this. So just take out your mobile phone and open a text box and put in this number, 662266. It's really easy to remember. And then put in the text field NGO where you would put your message. And there's a quick little survey, which I'd love you to all take. And it also gives you an experience of really how engaging mobile technology can be and the many different ways that you can use it. So I'll give you all a few minutes, and if there's still chocolate going around, hopefully, keep you all. Okay. Anyone still doing it? Okay. So now I can use this little clicker. Wonderful. So the main thing I'm going to talk to you about today is why you need to be using mobile SMS. As I said before, almost everyone is on mobile, right? They're using it to text their parents, they're using it for business, they're using it for social lives. In fact, 95% of American adults have a mobile phone. Just based on this audience alone, we can see that, right? And of those, we have 77% have a smartphone, which means that they can connect to the internet, right? Which is pretty amazing when you think about it. Now we talk about globally. The number of mobile phone users in the world is expected to actually pass the 5 billion mark by 2019. And right now, it's estimated that 67% of the global world will have a mobile phone, which is incredibly high when you think about, we're talking about the entire world here. We're talking about developing countries, we're talking about industrialized countries. Everyone is on their mobile phones. And when we talk about marketing and we talk about the digital world, we talk about meeting people where they are. And as you can see here, it's on their phones. In fact, during this entire 2-day conference and presentations, I've seen people on their mobile phones. I myself was tweeting on Twitter, and other folks were checking their email, maybe not paying attention to the presentations. It's okay, I understand. And so we all know that this is probably the best way, not probably, this is the best way to reach your audiences. Now, it's not just the best way to reach everyone. It is literally the best way to reach people who have limited access to broadband. A lot of communities don't have access to the broadband internet connections that a lot of cities have. And so this includes rural communities. In fact, in the US, there is rural Americans are 10% points less likely than Americans overall to actually have a broadband connection. And right now, 63% of rural Americans have broadband access. Now, you can picture, if that's just the US, imagine what it's like worldwide when it comes to reaching rural communities. So what we call these folks is smartphone dependent. Their only access to the internet is via smartphone. They don't have laptops necessarily, and there's other communities that fall under this category as well, and that's communities of color. So although whites, blacks, and Latinx communities have similar rates of smartphone ownership, minorities tend to rely more heavily on their phone for internet access, to do their homework if they're younger teenagers, to do job applications. In fact, 13% of Latinx communities and 12% of blacks are smartphone dependent. In comparison, only 4% of whites in the US are smartphone dependent. And Latinx communities text 1.56 times more than whites, and the black community texts 2.24 times more than whites. So what are we learning from this, right? We talked about 95% of Americans having a mobile phone and 77% having a smartphone. That means that if they don't have a smartphone, the best way to reach them is texting, right? They might not have the apps or be able to check their email on their phone, but you can still text them. Now, the last group that's smartphone dependent are our developing nations. The developing world hit 98.7% of mobile phone adoption. 200 million more came online in 2017, and 30 million ditched their landlines, according to a report by the International Telecommunications Union in 2017. So landline use is declining drastically. PC and laptop computer usage is actually slowed. So unlike other technologies, it's not keeping pace with the mobile phone usage. And internet usage has increased, but not substantially. And this is mainly because people are using basic mobile phones instead of smartphones, right? So they can text, but they can't always access the internet. In fact, in Africa, 80% of cell phone owners primarily use their phones to send text messages. This is the main way they use their phones. They don't use it to call people. They don't use it to take pictures. They use it to text. So beyond reaching the audiences we want to reach, right? Why mobile? It's the best direct and rapid response communications tool out there. Humans right now have a shorter attention span than goldfish. You heard me right. Yeah, we have a shorter attention span than goldfish. Goldfish is 9 seconds. Humans are 8. So when it comes to catching someone's attention, a text message which immediately pops onto their phone is more likely to be read than an email in their inbox that, as we all know, it has a lot of spam now, right? In fact, a text message is read within 90 seconds of receiving it. Now, in terms of response rates and why when you want someone to act immediately, this is why a lot of nonprofits are using mobile technology for advocacy. Mobile has a 4 times higher click-through rate and response rate than email. That's right, 4 times higher. So when you get that text, you're more likely to read it and then click on the link and do the action, right? When it comes to rapid response, when something important is happening, maybe it's an alert about a flood warning, or it's, in the US, a Supreme Court nominee that a lot of people might not like, right? And we want to let them know that we want their help in fighting it. That can be sent out as quick as a tweet versus an email with your organization having people sign off as quickly as possible, but you know it's going to take over half a day to get that message out. Lastly, mobile is engaging. It's personal. Think about it. Who texts you? Your mom probably texts you to say, why didn't you call today, right? Your best friend needs you because something is happening, and they text you for some help on a problem they're having. It's a personal medium, and we have to respect that. So we're not going to be sending several text messages a week, right? You're not going to be using it in the same way you might use Twitter or Facebook or even your website or email, right? So you need to respect that. But you can have real conversations via text. In fact, in the US, we have two types of mass texting. We have broadcast text messaging, which allows you to send one message out to thousands, millions at a time. But you can individually respond to each message if you wanted to or needed to. You could also set up logic-based threaded messages, like the one I had you do earlier today. I gave you a survey, you responded, and then I gave you another question immediately after based on how you responded to answer as well. So you can set up an actual conversation. Maybe it's a multiple choice question, maybe it's yes or no, but you can have that engagement that you can't really have on other mediums. The other type of messaging that exists primarily in the US, which is a bit in a gray area, is called peer-to-peer texting, and it's not regulated right now by the FCC. And basically what it allows is for you to text people who don't have an opt-in. So people who have not given you permission to text, you can send them a message. And it's used primarily right now for voter outreach, for getting out the vote and reminding people to go to the polls. It first came about during the 2016 election. It's also used for response in emergencies. So trying to reach residents who are unaccounted for in, say, a hurricane. You can get their mobile numbers and try to reach them that way. So there's a lot of really good use cases for both types of mass texting. So yeah, how much time do I have left potentially for questions?
43 seconds.
Darn! How about we open up questions for both Allison and I for about 5 to 10 minutes? Is that possible? 2-3 minutes. We'll take it. Does anyone have any questions about user experience design and mobile? Yeah.
Can you walk us through how you set up that surveying version of
Yeah.
messaging?
So I use a platform that specifically allows me to send text messages. So it's similar to any email CRM or platform that allows you to put in all the information. They give me an option if I wanted to make a multiple choice question, and I put in my responses, and then it tells me in the reporting. In fact, if I had it up right now, I could tell you all the responses that everyone gave in by percent. And it's really easy to set up. It's built into the platform. A lot of tools out there now have this multiple choice functionality to be able to set up messages. Just think of it as putting in a box like you would in a Twitter window. You put in your text, and then you click a button to say multiple choice question, and you put in what the response options are that people can give.
Does WhatsApp be used at the same?
So WhatsApp is more of a chat app. So it's mostly used for one-on-one communications and group communications. I don't believe WhatsApp has created a functionality where you can send one message out to thousands, but it might be something they're considering, because I know it's used primarily internationally as a tool for communications for a lot of younger populations. And I use it to communicate with my friends in Europe and Africa. I definitely think it's something they're considering, but as far as I know right now, they don't have that functionality, but it's something actually I should look into, because they might have a business version that might allow that functionality, yeah.
Not yet. In fact, in India, they have now forbidden you from sending more than 5.
Yes, so it's very similar. So text messaging now, if I tried to send a message out to 100 people at once, they would block it like a spam filter. Verizon or any of the different companies, they would say, oh, nope, spam, and knock it down. And it sounds like that's what WhatsApp is doing as well. Any other questions? Great. Well, thank you so much.